Without further ado, I would like to introduce Garrett Kohler for just a sec to talk about Assemble Sound in this great space that he's working on. Thanks for hosting us, Garrett.
Yeah, thank you, Garrett. Nice, thank you guys so much for coming. Appreciate it. Amy, thanks for the generous introduction. So I'm going to try to do the much shorter version of what I just did for like 10 or 12 of you who walked through the building. I will try to not do the full history of Roosevelt Park that I like to do sometimes, because it's a really interesting history if you guys don't know it. Yeah, so you guys are at Assemble Sound right now, if you guys didn't already realize that. Wasn't always this building not always called Assemble Sound, you probably realized that too. Initially built as St. Paul's. It was a built German Protestant church. The cornerstone for this building was laid in 1871. A little bit debated right now as whether it's 71 or 72. Cornerstone says 72. I'm pretty sure it's 71. The rectory attached to the building actually preceded it, built in 1865. And then the pastor's residence, which is the far building, came years after the sanctuary. So it was German Protestant up until the 1950s when it was purchased by the House of Israel, an African-American congregation who met in this sanctuary up until 1980 when it was sold to La Iglesia de Jesus Cristos. Not fluent in Spanish, but that one's pretty easy, the Church of Jesus Christ. They met here up until 1999 when it was sold to Calvin Freeman, who ran Grace to Grace Lutheran Church out of here till about 6 years ago when he and his family moved to Florida and put a big lock on the front door. Actually, the same chain that's still on it. So Assemble Sound is obviously part of a long legacy, a diversity of both people and beliefs have convened in the space. We see ourselves as a part of that legacy. We just don't convene around a shared belief in any deity. We're a group of mostly musicians who convene around a shared belief in the power of creative collaboration and economic cooperation when it comes to building successful careers in music. So we do a lot of community programming that looks like this. That's more music-centric, so imagine a bunch of musicians sitting exactly where you are and watching people talk on the couch about music licensing or copyright or how to program in Ableton. Anything you might need to know in the music industry is the sort of programming that we want to do in here. Sometimes we do album premieres where we have, Detroit house producer Kyle Hall sat on that couch and played through his new album and took questions from the audience, that kind of stuff. Then the main sort of function of the space is the space was meant to facilitate collaborative songwriting between musicians across genres in the city. So there's actually a recording studio in the room that's lit up in the back corner. It used to be the breastfeeding room actually for the sanctuary. And then there's a live room directly above your head where we tracked a gospel choir last night. There's 2 studio rooms upstairs and we're building a 3rd under the bell tower. So we run an artist residency out of the space for 12, going on hopefully soon up to 20 artists have 24/7 access to the space, with the only requirement being that every session they book here is open to other residents to sit in on, and if you're a resident, you're required to sit in on someone else's session once every other week. So really intentionally trying to build a collaborative songwriting community across genres in the city. It's been really cool to see pockets of the city's musical landscape come together that never have before in this space. And I think that we've been up and running since I was telling everyone that we got that studio. We picked up the building last March. Didn't have the north side of the roof is pretty much gone. No plumbing in here. We had to redo some of the electric, and by May we were like, we're good to go. That was sort of our deadline. Like, we got to have a basic studio up and running. And I remember the first session was with the DSO, and like some people from the DSO upstairs, and a guy from MIT. They were working on the Symphony in D, which some of you guys might have been familiar with. And it was raining, and the roof was not there, and it was just raining into the balcony and the live room as they recorded. And he had Todd Macko, the composer. I was just like, oh my gosh, the worst. And Todd was like, get the mics, put them in the balcony, mic up, like that rain sounds amazing. And I was like, that's incredible. Yeah, I think you were here for that, right? And yeah, so since then, a lot more music has been made in the space. So we're working on the organization, Assemble Sound, obviously working on the building at the same time, which it's funny because Amy and I met like right after we had purchased the building, and I was like, hey, I don't even own a car, like what do I do about the steeple? It's about to fall down, like I don't know how to do anything. And I was like, it'd be amazing if there was an organization that existed that sort of convened these resources for other people doing DIY projects. And then Brick and Beam got funded a couple months later, and now we're hosting it. So that's really cool in terms of what we're going to do with the space. 360 balcony actually in here. The ceiling shouldn't be here. 55-foot vaulted ceiling. We're going to reopen that back up. You guys can't see, but above that wood is a pipe organ. 1909 installed, built for the space, custom, that goes straight to the ceiling, that we got fired up and it works. So we're excited to open it back up and expose that, and then hopefully start working on the buildings next door. And it's going to be a long project, but yeah, so yeah, keep up with us at assemblesound.com. So yeah, thanks for coming.